What's up, old school homies? Let's talk about will my first album ever come out? I know it's been a long time that I promised I would put an album out, and it's been done for a long time. And now it's sort of in the past a little bit, and I don't even open up the program that we tried to record on because the more stuff you record on it, the more it messes up the old stuff that you had recorded on it. So it's just sitting there in the computer, and I don't really know how to bring it to the world other than to just directly upload it to places. And I don't really think it's going to work, like it's going to make any sense to do that. Because what happens most of the time when you do that, it gets a certain amount of views and then it stops. So, after making so many songs, it's confusing to say, like, okay, we should put a whole album out at once of what, 18, 20 songs. And what eventually happened was JR just sort of formed another band, and then I'm a part of that band too. But it's just been confusing to figure out where the last band of just me and JR kind of goes, because I don't really want to mess up his vision for his new band and try to like drag him back into this old project that we did, because it's basically a jam. It's just like these hard songs would be even harder to replicate a second time and play live. So if JR was to perform this album that we made together live, it would probably take a lot of practice, which would take a lot of time away from this new album that he's trying to make. And we're pretty much all trying to let him have creative control over it, because he's sort of a leader and wants to create this band. And this band has been like in the making many times. It's, I won't say the name of it, but this band has so many members, and then it's hard to get people to show up in my age range. Like, we'll usually only have three guys. I think we've gotten like four guys together in a concert, maybe five or six guys together. The problem is meeting that many people, like, on a regular basis. And we've tried. We don't really have a lot of space in this room. When you bring four guys in here, it's pretty musty in here and stinky. And trying to find a larger space like a church or a warehouse or something, it hasn't really worked out. So it's difficult with this new band to make songs. And I feel like it's been 3 months since I completed the last album, and we're still working on the first song of the new album of the new band. And meanwhile, I still have a lot of beats that I'm making for the same band that we already made an album from. There's at least 60 beats right here, so it's tough to just stack them up and then not use them, because in order to use these beats, you have to refine them and try to like feel out which ones are better than the others. You have to live with them, like listen to them all the time. Try to play other instruments with them, and it's just been this long decision making process where I probably have, out of these 60 beats, four successful songs. Like, of course, there's lots of successful beats in here, but you have to find someone else to play along with these beats, and you don't know how they're going to hit the other artist. So we will see if JR even wants to work on this project anymore. But it's time for the second album, even though the first album hasn't come out. And we're working on our album with the other band, and it's difficult to meet up with everybody. So it's hard to say, hey JR, like work on this band that's a lot simpler. It's just me and you. You know, like he has a more dedicated real drummer, and that's the other problem. Like he was like, well, why don't we just take our old album and we'll add it to the new band. The problem is with that, we have a real drummer. Like he plays real drums. I play an electronic drum machine. It's different, but I don't see us working together enough. Like I've tried to kind of like turn on my drum machine and bring it here and there. Uh, the drummer doesn't really work with a drum machine, and I'm also not allowed to play bass with this band, so it's like I play xylophone. It's cool. I'll play xylophone for their band and everything, but um, all this other shit that I already do, I'm still doing it. So I'm running out of space, and I have to come out with my second album at some point.